Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Marder CLOVIS. This is a currently 8.0 BR ranked by premium light tank in both the French and German ground forces tech trees. This review will cover both the vehicles as they are identical. The French version costs 8,380 golden eagles and comes with 15 backups, while the German version is in a pack that currently costs $49.99 USD when not on sale and comes with both 15 days of premium time and 2,000 golden eagles. With that said, in this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this light tank, including its stats, how it plays, I'll give its strengths and weaknesses, I'll give it some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation and if I feel if this vehicle is worth purchasing or not. With that said, if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing, but without further ado, let's get into the review. Now to start, I'll place its stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to note are its fire rate, its armament, and its armor. Now for how it plays. This vehicle is essentially a German Marder chassis with a French turret, 105mm cannon, and 20mm autocannon. Both the French and German versions of this vehicle are identical in every way, just to clear up any confusion if you didn't hear me when I said that in the intro. With that said, the CLOVIS is a very fast, well-armed light tank that is great for scouting, flanking, and battling near the front lines, if you can keep yourself safe or better yet, hidden altogether. This is due largely to its excellent 24:1 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio, combined with its powerful heat shells, 5-second autoloader, and laser rangefinder. This allows for accurate and quick shots from any number of ranges, all while being able to exploit enemy weaknesses from their flank. If you can do this, you can perform quite successfully in a match, combining flanking, base capping, scouting, and even a little sniping due to the low BR laser rangefinder. Though sniping should be done situationally, as the primary shell, the OCC 105 F1 heat shell, only has 800 meters per second of muzzle velocity, which makes longer range shots relatively difficult. This is on top of the fact that the heat shells will explode if hitting anything before they get to the enemy, including trees, fences, cars, and more. Regardless, you also have the very nice 20mm autocannon that's mounted coaxially on the turret, which will help tremendously when going after aircraft, light vehicles, and destroying tank modules. This all allows for the CLOVIS to be an extremely powerful vehicle in many instances, particularly when all of its strengths, including its armament and mobility, are working together. Conversely, the armor on this vehicle is poor, and will be penned by anything from autocannons to proper tank cannons. This makes it so that brawling and frontlining are off the table as roles. Realistically, you can fight near the front lines as I stated before, but you need to keep hidden and make sure to destroy the enemy's ability to shoot back at you, if at all possible. Regardless, move fast, strike fast, and make sure that you aren't seen, and the Marder CLOVIS can be surprisingly capable. Now with all that said, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses, and first for its strengths. This vehicle features a laser rangefinder, which is pretty uncommon at this BR. Second, it has a fantastic auto-loading speed of only 5 seconds. Third, it has a powerful heat shell that can pen through up to 400mm of armor. For its fourth strength, it has excellent mobility by virtue of a 24:1 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio. This allows for a 75 km/h top speed, moving both forward and in reverse. Beyond this, it features an excellent turret rotation speed of between 25.2 and 36 degrees per second depending on crew skill. For its sixth strength, it features a very powerful coaxial 20mm autocannon that can easily destroy enemy light tanks and helicopters. For its seventh strength, it has both smoke shells and smoke grenades. Ninth, it has a large power pack at the front of the vehicle that might sometimes help to protect you against enemy shells. Beyond this, the CLOVIS has Commander's optics, and finally, it features premium RP and SL bonuses. Now for its weaknesses. First, this vehicle is poorly armored with just 32mm of armor at the front of the hull and turret, and just 11mm at the rear of the hull and 20mm on the side and rear of the turret. Second, this vehicle is surprisingly large despite being a light tank. For its third weakness, once the 12 rounds in the autoloader run out, it takes approximately 16.5 seconds to reload a single shell into the autoloader. For its fourth weakness, while powerful, the heat shells will explode if they hit anything between you and the target, such as fences, trees, and cars. This wouldn't be too much of an issue if the CLOVIS had other viable shell options, but it doesn't. For its fifth weakness, it has absolutely gigantic horizontal and vertical aiming drives that will be very easy to destroy when the enemy pens you if they don't kill you first. For its sixth weakness, this vehicle only has a 3-man crew, which further limits survivability. Seventh, the heat shell only has an 800 meter per second muzzle velocity, which will make shots against moving targets and those at a range very difficult, even despite having a laser rangefinder. And finally, the heat shell is largely ineffective versus both composite armor and ERA, which, while somewhat rare at this BR, are becoming slightly more common, with examples seen in the T-55 AM1 and with many Israeli tanks. Now with all that said, let's get into how I scored this vehicle, and first for armament, I give it a 7.25 out of 10. The armament on this vehicle is extremely powerful in the right circumstances, but can be difficult to use. While it has a very powerful heat shell, a laser rangefinder, and an excellent 5-second reload, many shots will explode before they hit their target because something might be in the way that you just didn't see. Not only this, but they have a low muzzle velocity of only 800 meters per second, which is very low for this BR. Regardless, they can destroy light tanks via the HE filler alone, whereas they can easily pen heavy tanks at this BR due to their excellent armor pen. The real issue here is that it has mediocre post-pen damage, which can lead to you dying if you don't hit the enemy in the right spot. If nothing else, the 20mm autocannon helps somewhat to mask these issues, but I get far more shattered shells when hitting enemies with it, including light tanks, than I'd want. Regardless, the Marder CLOVIS, which also has an excellent turret rotation speed, is squarely a fantastic vehicle in terms of armament at this BR, though of course not without some misgivings that do hold it back just a bit. Now for mobility, I give it an 8.5 out of 10. The mobility on the Marder CLOVIS is nearly as good as you can get at this BR, featuring a fantastic 24:1 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio and a 75 km/h top speed both forward and reverse. These features alone mean that the CLOVIS is among the most consistently fast light tanks at its BR. Considering it has tracks for all-terrain performance, this means that it is fantastic overall for mobility. While not as outright fast as the fastest wheeled vehicles, it will still blow away pretty much all tracked vehicles around this BR outside of, again, like the XM800T. Now for survivability, I give it a 3.25 out of 10. While survivability is decidedly the worst attribute on the CLOVIS, it still isn't absolutely terrible relative to other light tanks. While the armor is poor with just around 32mm at max, the CLOVIS features a large engine block and transmission at the front of the vehicle that will soak up a surprisingly large amount of shells. The CLOVIS also features 8 smoke grenades, which is a fairly good amount for this BR, as many tanks that it will fight lack them entirely. Additionally, unlike many other tanks around this BR, ammo and fuel are relatively sparse throughout the interior of the CLOVIS, though they are still easy to hit, especially via the rear of the turret for an ammo rack kill. Regardless, you shouldn't expect to survive most larger tanks, but the CLOVIS can still put up with at least some punishment if you use the engine to soak it up, or if you're able to use smoke grenades to run away. Now overall, I give it a 6.75 out of 10. Overall, the Marder CLOVIS is great. While I would rather have a stabilizer over a laser rangefinder, as the cannon and heat shells aren't really great for long range usage, the armament is still excellent. Even better is the mobility that will allow you to win almost every race to a base cap unless you're facing something like the Fox or XM800T. This all means that the Marder CLOVIS is devastatingly powerful on offense, but if you get hit, you stand a good chance of dying due to the poor armor and low crew count. If nothing else, I give the CLOVIS a 6.75 out of 10 overall, which is slightly higher than the average of its scores, as I weighted both armament and mobility more heavily than survivability, as this is a light tank and it does well regarding those light tank traits. Now with all that said, do I recommend purchasing the Marder CLOVIS? This one is a bit unique because not only is it an identical premium in 2 tech trees, but each tech tree version has a separate cost and way of purchase, as well as a totally different group of vehicles around it. With that said, I'd recommend purchasing the French Marder CLOVIS, though probably only if it's on sale, but that's because I'm stingy in that way. The reason for this is because it only really competes against the AMX30 and the Simua SM. The AMX30 is not as good as the CLOVIS, and the Simua SM is a totally different type of vehicle altogether, but is still great in its own right. For the German version, I'd probably say to purchase the Term 3 before buying the Marder CLOVIS, as its armament is more versatile, and has a stabilizer over a laser rangefinder, all while still being 8.3 BR, at least currently. Still, this doesn't take away from the German Marder CLOVIS, as it is just as good as the French one. It's just that the Germans have decidedly more competent premiums around this BR, including even the TAM2IP if you want to go up a rank, and the RU251 if you want to go down a rank. Still, both the German and French CLOVIS tanks are excellent vehicles for people that play aggressively and will reward that style of gameplay handsomely. In summation, however, I recommend both for purchase, though probably on sale because it's crazy how expensive digital tanks are, and I would recommend purchasing the Terms 3 before the German CLOVIS, not because the CLOVIS is bad, but because the Term 3 is one of the best tanks relative to BR in War Thunder. Additionally, I give them both my Tankenstein seal of approval, as they are both extremely fun and capable vehicles. Now with that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel, as they both help me tremendously. Additionally, let me know what you guys think of the CLOVIS and of this review in the comments below. Either way, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.